There's something the ancients knew that we've almost completely forgotten. Not everyone can receive the same information in the same way. And it's not a question of intelligence or capacity, it's simply how life works. Each plant absorbs light differently. A rose captures certain color spectrums, a sunflower completely different ones. A cactus processes the desert sun one way, a fern from the humid jungle in a totally opposite way. Both need light, but the way they take it, process it, convert it into food is radically different. The same happens with animals and food. A lion cannot feed on grass, a cow cannot hunt gazelles. It's not that one is better than the other. They simply have digestive systems designed to process different types of matter. And that's fine. That diversity is what maintains the ecosystem's balance. With humans and information, exactly the same thing happens. What I can understand today, perhaps you'll understand in a year. What makes immediate sense to you, for me, might be an incomprehensible mystery. And that's not wrong. It's simply how we are. 1,000 paths, one destination. That's why throughout history, there have been so many different paths, so many religions, so many philosophies, so many ways of seeing the world, so many methods to reach the same thing. It's not that some are wrong and others are right. It's that different people need different paths to reach the same place. Ancient polytheism understood this better than we do. It wasn't just, there are many gods. It was, there are many ways to connect with the divine, many doors to enter the same house. Some enter through the door of suffering, others through the door of Zen meditation. Some need Spartan discipline, others Buddhist compassion. Some find their path in medicinal plants, others in the profound silence of the cave. From the Crusades to atheism, from science to the most extreme mysticism, all are paths. Valid or not, functional or not, all are attempts by the human mind to understand something beyond the mind itself. And even so, with all this infinite diversity of paths, with all these possibilities, they remain few compared to the number of stars in the universe. With the biodiversity of this planet, with the infinite ways consciousness can express itself. However, there's something curious. Everyone, absolutely everyone, regardless of which path we take, goes through the same fundamental laws. As if the universe had basic rules that always operate, whether you're conscious of them or not. The laws that govern everything. Thoth showed me these laws years ago, and every time I see them operate in life, I'm surprised anew. They are 7 principles that govern absolutely everything, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy. From the most subtle thought to the most solid mountain, all is mind. The entire universe is mental, arising from a consciousness that thinks reality into existence. As above, so below, patterns repeat at all scales. Nothing is still. Everything vibrates. Everything moves in different frequencies. Everything has its opposite, and opposites are actually the same, but in different degrees. Everything flows and ebbs. The pendulum swings between extremes. Nothing remains static. Every cause has its effect. Nothing happens by chance, and everything has its masculine and feminine aspect. All creation requires the union of both. These laws always operate. It doesn't matter if you know them, if you accept them, if you believe in them or deny them. They operate, like gravity, like electromagnetism, like the fundamental forces of the universe. But that's not consciousness. Everything I just described, all these paths, all these laws, all these systems of understanding are mind. They are ways the mind tries to understand itself, to organize itself, to find meaning. But that's not consciousness. Consciousness is something completely different, and this is where everything becomes interesting, where the game changes levels. Consciousness doesn't arise from choosing one path or another. It doesn't emerge from understanding the laws or not understanding them. Consciousness arises from the union of all of it, but not the union that homogenizes, that turns everything into the same thing, but rather a union that respects and integrates diversity. It's like this body called Mahdi. For Mahdi to exist, I need my bones to be bones, my muscles to be muscles, my organs to be organs, An adult body has approximately 206 bones holding the structure, about 600 muscles generating movement, 78 organs fulfilling specific functions, 11 complete systems working in synchrony: nervous, circulatory, respiratory, digestive, endocrine, immunological, muscular, skeletal, reproductive, urinary, integumentary, and all of that is formed by about 37 trillion cells working simultaneously. Pause the endocrine glands, the pineal, the pituitary, the thyroid, the adrenals, the pancreas, each secreting hormones that regulate processes I don't even consciously perceive. All of that working together, but each part doing its specific function. The heart doesn't try to be lung. The liver doesn't want to become brain. The stomach doesn't envy the kidney. Each does its thing, and in that functional diversity, something greater emerges, Mahdi. If suddenly all my organs decided to behave like the heart, Mahdi would disappear. If everyone wanted to be brain, the body would collapse. Unity is not that everyone is the same. Unity is that everyone functions in harmony while being different. The dance of homeostasis consciousness occurs when the mind, in all its chaotic infinity, finds harmony. Cosmic homeostasis, a dynamic equilibrium where everything is in motion, but nothing is out of place. And the task of consciousness is precisely that: to navigate the infinite mind, to order what expands without harmony, to integrate what seems fragmented, to find rhythm in the midst of chaos. That's why consciousness doesn't care what the mind believes or creates. It couldn't care less. Consciousness detaches from results and origins, doesn't seek a specific purpose, has no defined mission to fulfill. Consciousness is the entire board, the white pieces and the black ones, the player who wins and the one who loses. It is the game itself, and at the same time, the act of not playing. It's a void so full that it needs nothing, only to be the center from which everything is observed, from which everything is navigated without clinging to anything. Consciousness is the rhythm, the frequency in which the mind orders itself and finds stability. And that's why this path we travel together is a path of consciousness, not just of mind, the path of milestones. But to come to understand the infinity of consciousness, to be able to inhabit it, requires traversing layers and layers of mind. Ideas, perceptions, beliefs, patterns, thought systems. With each step we take on that journey, a new lesson is revealed, a new layer unfolds, and this is where Hermes enters the scene in a way almost no one knows. Hermes. That Greek name comes from Hermes, which means pile of stones or milestone. On ancient roads, at certain distances, travelers would find a Hermes, a pile of stones or a post marking the route. These milestones told them how far they had advanced, how much remained to reach the next town, if they were going in the right direction. That's why Hermes is the messenger god, the one who goes from place to place carrying information, who marks the path step by step. Because what Hermes is telling us with his very name is that this is how reality works. Step by step, milestone after milestone, Herma after Herma, wave by wave, particle by particle, creating the map of the mind until having the complete atlas of consciousness. That's why knowledge is not the same as wisdom. Knowledge is each milestone on the path, each post, each Herma. Wisdom is seeing the complete map, understanding how all the milestones connect with each other, comprehending the totality of the journey. You can have much knowledge, have passed many milestones, but if you don't integrate all that into a total vision, if you don't see the complete map, you only have fragments, loose information, data without context. Going along learning step by step is fundamental to learn, integrate, and transcend each experience. If we don't do that, if we try to jump from the first milestone to the 10th without passing through the intermediates, we get lost. We remain floating in abstract concepts we cannot ground in lived experience. That's why Hermes created Hermeticism. Hermetic is not what you think. We have a completely wrong idea of what Hermetic means. When we hear that word, we think closed, secret, occult, elitist, only for a chosen few, and it bothers us. It seems unfair that there's Hermetic knowledge not everyone can access. But Hermetic doesn't mean that. Hermetic refers to stages of assimilation, to a gradual learning process, like in any serious educational system. Imagine this. A 15-year-old boy wants to be a neurosurgeon. He has a clear vocation, the pure desire to help others, the correct intention. But he watches a YouTube video about how to operate on the brain, and the next day wants to go to a hospital to perform surgery. We would all agree that would be absolute madness, a mortal danger. Why? Because that boy needs to finish high school, enter university, study 6 years of general medicine, specialize in neurology, do a neurosurgery residency, practice under supervision for years, accumulate experience, face real situations. Each subject he studies, each year he advances, each exam he passes is a Hermes, a milestone on his path to becoming a neurosurgeon. And that process becomes hermetic, closed, because its knowledge is not within reach of any person at any time. Not because it's bad or elitist, but because not everyone can be neurosurgeons, no matter how much they want to be. It requires time, dedication, capacity, specific preparation. Someone could judge the neurosurgeon and say, he speaks in incomprehensible terms, uses technical language no one understands, hides his knowledge in complicated words. We should all have access to that information. It's unfair that only doctors know. But the truth is, you can't give a scalpel to someone who knows nothing about anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, surgical technique. That's not democratizing knowledge. That's creating danger, the hermeticism of the soul. In philosophy, in spirituality, in the knowledge of consciousness, it works exactly the same. There is powerful information that cannot be given just like that, without context, without preparation. You need to have gone through certain processes, traversed certain experiences, integrated certain lessons, to be able to handle that information responsibly. Because someone could indeed use the power of certain words to manipulate others, to control consciousnesses, to create harm. A mantra used without preparation can unbalance the psyche. An energy technique poorly applied can generate severe crises. A truth poorly understood can become the most destructive dogma. That's why the Hermetic seems closed, because it's trying to protect wisdom, to ensure that whoever accesses it is prepared to use it with consciousness. That's why many who followed these paths, the Masons, the Rosicrucians, and mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, Tibet, Kabbalists, all ended up creating fraternities with occult appearance, full of symbols, with much study and different phases and levels to advance, not out of elitism, but for protection, mutual protection. Over time, many of those organizations got lost, became corrupted, turned into clubs of political or economic power, but that wasn't the original objective. The objective was to guide awakening gradually, step by step, milestone after milestone, so no one would burn themselves with knowledge they weren't prepared for. This Hermetic path, that's why in this process we're beginning together, in this game of the mind that leads toward consciousness, it will be important to understand something. Not everyone, not even myself, is capable of accessing certain information at this moment in our path, and therefore, Hermes and the Weaver will speak to us in codes. They'll launch messages that won't be entirely clear at first. They'll protect certain information so it only arrives complete to those who are prepared to receive it, who know what to do with it. Many of the messages we'll share will have layers and layers of information in a single phrase, and not all layers will be for the same people. Just like an oxygen molecule serves the brain one way, the muscles in a completely different way, and the lungs in another manner, but everyone needs it in their own way. Perhaps you'll read something I write and won't understand it now, and that's fine. Perhaps in 6 months, after having lived certain experiences, after having traversed certain internal processes, you'll read the same thing again, and suddenly, everything will make sense. That doesn't mean the text changed. It means you changed, that you arrived at the next milestone on your path. And that's perfectly fine. Not everyone is at the same point in the journey. Some go further ahead, others further back. Some take shortcuts, others deviate to explore lateral territories that call their attention. Everything is valid, each at their own rhythm, each with their unique process. Welcome to the Hermetic cycle. So this new cycle beginning is Hermetic in that sense. And it's fine if you don't understand something now. Perhaps later you'll understand it, as has happened to all of us at some point with something we read or heard years ago, and that suddenly, at the right moment, makes all the sense in the world. Perhaps of everything we do in this cycle, of all the texts, all the codes, all the stories, only a fragment will be for you, not everything, and I accept that. This is not a race where everyone has to arrive at the same time. It's not a competition where you have to prove something to someone else. This is a personal path of alchemy, each at their own rhythm, each with their unrepeatable process. That's why today, an imaginary cycle of the year ends, one complete turn of Earth around the sun, and another begins. Another opportunity to travel the path, to pass through the milestones that correspond to us in this turn, to learn the lessons waiting for us. In this cycle beginning, we'll be hermetic. I'll share information in layers, codes that will be revealed in their due time, messages that will make sense when you're at the correct milestone of your path. Not out of secrecy, not out of ego, but out of profound respect for each consciousness's process. Because consciousness doesn't rush, doesn't compete, doesn't compare. Consciousness simply is and navigates the infinite mind, finding harmony in chaos, order in diversity, unity in multiplicity. Are you ready for this hermetic cycle? Can you accept not understanding everything immediately without it frustrating you? Do you trust that what you need to understand will arrive when your consciousness is prepared to receive it? Can you respect that each person is at their own milestone on the path without judging who goes further ahead or further back? Can you release the cultural hurry that demands we understand everything now and honor the natural rhythm of your own consciousness? Because this is what's coming. A year of codes that unfold in the correct time. A year where the mind will play all its games and consciousness will observe from the center, integrating, harmonizing, creating that cosmic homeostasis that allows Mati to be Mati and you to be you. Happy end and beginning of the Ouroboros of time. Happy closing of Code 2025 and opening of Code 2026. May this new cycle find each consciousness at their perfect milestone, ready to take the next step, whatever that step may be on their unique and unrepeatable path. Welcome to the Hermetic Year. The spiral continues turning.